Hey guys, today's lesson is going to be dealing with metric units of measurements. What that means is most of the world uses a different form of measuring. They don't say, oh, that caterpillar is 2 inches long. They'll say, oh, that caterpillar is like 5 centimeters long or 50 millimeters long. The benefits of the metric system are vast, but most importantly, it's really, really easy to convert between millimeters and centimeters and kilometers because it's all in multiples of 10. Instead of doing 12 inches equals a foot, we can just kind of memorize, you divide by 10 or you multiply by 100 or divide by 1,000 or something like that. So what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at 4 different measurements. First measurement is going to be a kilometer. A kilometer is a really long measurement. That's like close to a mile. It's actually 1,000 of these. So if you put 1,000 of these all laid out next to each other, that would be a kilometer. After that, we're going to be looking at a meter. And that's what I sent home. That would be a meter stick. A meter stick is a little longer than a yard. A yard was 36 inches. We know a meter stick is this whole thing. And you can also see a meter stick is exactly 100 centimeters. Now you're going to notice your 100 is kind of cut off due to the metal probably on the end, but rest assured it is 100 centimeters. And we also are going to be learning about something called a millimeter. And if you get really close into this, you're going to notice that it counts up to 100. Each of those are centimeters, right? Each of these little tiny lines is something called a millimeter. And like I said, everything's in multiples of 10 or 100. So in this case, if you count those little lines in between every number, there's 10 different little lines. That means there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So if you look at between the 3 and the 4, there's 10 little lines. That means it's 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. So if we have this whole meter stick and there's 100 centimeters and there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, there's actually going to be 1,000 millimeters in this whole stick. There's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter stick, and a lot more millimeters in a kilometer, but I won't ask you to do that. So some of the examples at the top were, if we have 200 centimeters, we want to figure out how many meters would that be. Well, we just talked about that. We know that there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So now if I had 2 different clumps of 100 centimeters, and now another 100 centimeters, and each of these is 1 meter, well, how many meters would that be? 1, 2 meters. And the next example, or excuse me, the next problem at the top was 2 kilometers equals how many meters? So again, we have this long stretch of a kilometer. Kilometers are big. Kilo means 1,000. So this is 1 kilometer and another kilometer. We're going to convert these into meters. Well, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So that's 1,000 meters, and that's another 1,000 meters. So 1,000 plus 1,000 is 2,000 meters. And you're going to notice everything ends in zeros when you're converting between the two. Really, you're just taking this 2 and you're times it by 1,000 because it's 1,000 for each one. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So over here are some more examples. Sometimes we're going to have to divide. Sometimes we're going to have to multiply. If we're starting with a smaller unit and going into a bigger unit, we're actually going to divide. Because we have 80 millimeters, and we know that there's 10 millimeters in every centimeter. So you take that 80, and you divide by 10 to figure out how many centimeters there are. Because you're taking those 80, and you're putting in clumps of 10. How many clumps of 10 would there be? Well, there's 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. That means there's 8 clumps of 10 into an 80. Now, if we have 234 centimeters, and we're turning that into millimeters, that means we had 234 of these. Whoops, of these. That means we're having 1 meter stick, another meter stick, and then another 34 on top of it. So now we have 234 centimeters, and we're changing that into millimeters. Again, we know that there's 10 millimeters in every centimeter. So you take that 234, and we just times it by 10. Because we have 234 centimeters, and every centimeter has 10 millimeters. So we know how to do this. We know how to multiply by 10. It's very simple. You take that 234, you times it by 1, you just add a 0 at the end. So that means we have 2,340 millimeters. Number 3, we have 2 meters equals how many millimeters? So again, we have 2 meter sticks. 1, 2. So this is a meter, this is a meter. And looking at our handy dandy chart, we have 1,000 millimeters in every meter. We know that. There's 1,000 of these little lines. That means 1,000 little lines here, 1,000 little lines here. So how many little lines are there overall? 1,000 plus 1,000 is 2,000. And now, number 4, we're doing kind of the inverse of that. We have 14,000 little lines now. That means we have 14,000 of these. I'm not going to draw all 14. But every 1,000 millimeters is 1 meter. We know that. So for every 1,000 millimeters is 1 meter. So how many meters would there be in 14? Well, for every 1,000 is 1. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000. Because every 1,000 is 1. So it'd be 14. For number 5 and 6, you're actually going to be comparing 2 different things. And like I said yesterday, you can't really compare apples to oranges. So you have to change this meters to centimeters or this centimeters to meters. It doesn't matter what you want to do, but either way you have to change it. So I'm going to change this 60 meters into centimeters so I can compare apples to apples. So I know for every meter stick, there's 100 centimeters. So I take this 60 meters and times it by 100 to figure out how many centimeters there are. 6 times 1 is 6. 1, 2, 3 zeros. So this side, 60 meters, is actually 6,000 centimeters, which is significantly bigger than 600 centimeters. So that side would be bigger. Again, I want to make sure I'm comparing 2 like-minded labels. Meters to meters or centimeters to centimeters. If I want to do this one, I could just divide by 100, which would have been 6 meters, which, again, 60 meters is still bigger than 6 meters. In the last one, number 6, it's not exactly this, but it says, is 3.2 meters equal to 320 millimeters? Explain. So are these 2 things equal? Well, let's check it out. If I have 3.2 meters, I know every meter is 1,000. So I take this 3 and I times it by 1,000. And that's 3,000 millimeters just on that one alone. And 0.2 meters is right here. Because it goes, this is 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, all the way down. So if I have 2/10 of a meter stick, that's 20 centimeters or 200 millimeters. So I take that 3,000 and I added another 200 millimeters. So if I combine those 2, it's just 3,200 millimeters. Now the question was, is 3.2 meters equal to 320? It is not equal, because this is actually 10 times bigger than this. So that's what you're doing today. Don't be afraid to use this meter stick if you want to kind of use it as a visual aid to help you out. Once you're done with this video, you're going to go on to the next page, which is the practice page 13-4. Again, if you have questions, please pop in. I can help you out. Once you're done, you kind of look at the answers, see how you did, fill out that little log saying, well, I felt like I did okay with today. I struggled a little bit with the kilometers or whatever you might have struggled with, or maybe you found a lot of success. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thanks. Have a good day.